So we already opened the meeting because we had a quick executive session before the meeting started. And I just want to mention that Bob Wheeler is on Zoom, and I believe our administrator, Marcus Serrano, is also on Zoom. And we also have our engineer, George Palmer, and anyone else. Oh,
Brian, the traffic guy.
we have somebody who did a traffic study for us, Brian Dempsey. He's also on Zoom. Okay, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. And I would like the newly elected officers of the Buchanan Engine to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, next, I will be swearing in. Oops, hold on one second. The newly elected officers. The election was held in December. And the term will commence on January 9th, 2025 through January 14th of 2027, and that's a 2-year term. I'm going to come up to the podium. I'd like to ask Chief Robert Outhouse to come, First Assistant Fire Chief Kiernan Outhouse, and Second Assistant Chief Mike Eifler, Jr. And then I'd like to get a picture of everybody with the board also. Thanks. Okay. First of all, what I'd like to say, we are very fortunate here in the Village of Buchanan to have such a great group of volunteers. And I've said this before, there's many a times I'm in the middle of the night, I'm in bed while nice and warm and cozy, and I hear the fire whistle go off. And you could hear the wind blowing sometimes, you could hear thundering and lightning. And all I say is thank God for our volunteers, and thank God I don't have to get out of bed. So much appreciated. We appreciate everything you do for our beautiful little village of Buchanan, your dedication, and all the time that you put in to our community. Not to mention, also we have, when we have our events, our Village of Buchanan events, any events, they're always there to support the village. So we're very grateful for you. So please raise your right hand. Is there anyone that would like to come up here to get some pictures behind me? That'd be great. Okay. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the position of, or according to the best of my ability. Thank you so much. Congratulations. And if the board could stand up. Everybody can get up. Uh-oh.
Should I raise my arms?
Yeah. You know what? If the board members could come up around front, because we're not going to be able to see you otherwise. And then stand on the side, or if we can get everybody in, that would be super.
It's too tall.
Yeah, just stay in the back.
Let's switch.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you. And if anybody would like to say a few words, more than welcome. Oh, I think that leads you.
Just briefly, once again, thank you very much for the faith in the chief officers of the Buchanan Engine Company. Just a little note, last year we swore in Kieran as second assistant chief 2 years ago as one of the first explorers to enter at age 14. Tonight, I'm very proud to say that he is backed up by Michael Eichel Jr., who also joined as an explorer at 14, and they are now the assistant chiefs of the Buchanan Engine Company. So thank you very much, guys. Good luck. You'll be hearing from me, I'm sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Chief. Okay, next is the approval of minutes for November 6, 2024. Board meeting, special meeting, and November 26, 2024 workshop meeting. Any comments, questions, corrections?
I have nothing. I'm good.
I'm good. So I'd like to make a motion to approve those minutes. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next is comments from the floor, agenda items only. Oh, Mr. Zachary, do you have a comment from an agenda item? Okay. Okay, that would be good. Thank you. Okay.
Just want to, watching the last meeting, thank the board for the review of the parking situation around the village and some of the proximity to the corner and the difficulty with turning. And I did not hear mentioned a couple of spots that I often notice are a little problematic, and I imagine with a larger vehicle more so. One is coming in off Kings Ferry if you make a right on Tate. Was that included in this? Because I've had it happen where if somebody's parked close to the corner and a car's coming out of Tate, as you come around that blind turn from Kings Ferry, I've seen it happen a couple of times where people just sort of like stopped in the middle of the intersection and waited for somebody to proceed. You know, at the corner on Tate, if anybody's parked close to the corner, I think that would fit into the category of what you guys are looking at. Yeah. Yeah. And also, if a big vehicle is parked at the other end of Tate, hi Stephanie, how are you? Good. At the other end of Tate, right by the circle, if you're coming around the circle, where the fitness studio is, if you're coming around the circle there, and especially if something big is parked right by that corner, you have to swing into the ice cream shop side of the street.
Stop in a drive-through, you know.
Yeah. But those two ends of Tate, I think are also a little problematic, and for a large vehicle coming that way, more so.
You're right, because that is a tough turn coming out of Westchester.
Yeah, I mean, I know you want to park as close as you can to,
Kings Ferry.
if you're going into the business there, you want to park as close as possible, but I think I heard you, what length are you considering from the
30 feet.
30 feet? Which is like almost 2 car lengths, I guess, yeah. Yeah, anyway, I just wanted to mention that. Otherwise, I appreciate that you're reviewing that. Yeah.
No, we appreciate your input because I think our whole intent is just that, to try and make the problem areas. And if you find an area that you think needs to be addressed,
Yeah,
please.
yeah,
bring it to our
depending on where your house is, you're going to be obviously aware of a turn coming onto Tate that I would not be normally.
Yeah.
And I heard the chief, talking about the narrowness of the streets and, like Lindsay has parking on one side, and for years I had suggested that we limit parking to only one side of Tate, but I don't know if it's worth doing that at this time also, but the safety around those turns is the main thing, so I
Yeah.
just wanted
Yep.
to comment on that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, and then tonight we'll be scheduling a public hearing for February 4th. Thank you for bringing that to the board's attention. So next is discussion of truck traffic on Broadway. There was a study that was done, and Mr. Dempsey, like I said, is there, and we also have this evening our planner. He's here with us. So we're going to have a discussion on that. And Mr. Dempsey, would you like to start with your presentation?
Sure. Good Good evening. My name is Brian Dempsey. I'm a licensed professional engineer from the firm DTS Provident Design Engineering. Sorry for if the screen is a little bit shaky. I'm at another hearing in a separate room because I had two other hearings tonight. We prepared a draft study at the direction of the village to look at the pavement sections along Broadway, especially in the vicinity of Certainteed, and from the Certainteed driveway to Bleakley was the main section we looked at, and then also looked at to the village border to the north. What we did is we conducted automatic traffic recorder counts for a week in October, which counted the type of vehicles, the number of vehicles, the speed and their speed, and we included that in the report. So that included how many different type trucks, and it classified the different trucks in terms of tractor trailers or smaller single unit trucks or cars into 11 different categories. We then also did a manual traffic count at the Certainteed driveway to look at what percentage of the trucks are going in and out of Certainteed versus are traveling on Broadway but not stopping at Certainteed. Through that, we did other field observations. We had discussions with the village's engineering consultant about the history of the paving and the pavement conditions along Broadway. And then to that, we prepared the report. To summarize our findings, I think you'll have a copy of the draft, but there's about 3,700 vehicles a day total both ways traveling on Broadway on a typical day based upon our counts. Of that, there were 231 tractor trailers per day. Of those numbers, based upon information we received from Certainteed's traffic engineer, they have approximately 152 to 176 tractor trailers per day. That's total both ways. So half of that would be coming in, then they would be returning back to the north on Broadway. There were also about 25 buses per day and 59 other trucks that were smaller than tractor trailers, but basically bigger than single unit type trucks on the road. Some of those would be like sanitation trucks and things of that nature. The Certainteed trucks, based on the information we received from their traffic consultant and then looking at data on these trucks, they come in about 10,000 to 25,000 pounds empty, and they're leaving Certainteed at between 40,000 and 60,000 pounds when they're full with materials and sheetrock. So that was the weight of the trucks is something we considered in our analysis later on. Their trucks mainly are traveling between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m., but there are other trucks still going between 3 and 6 p.m. That we observed. So in terms of the trucks that are on the road, about 80% of them are Certainteed trucks, or going to Certainteed, because you can't tell, because there are various third-party companies doing a lot of the trucking, so the trucks don't say Certainteed on them, they will say other things. But about 80% of the trucks on Broadway are for the Certainteed facility. The other 20% are traveling somewhere else on Broadway. All the trucks that we did observe from Certainteed did come out of their driveway, turned left, and went north on Broadway, and all the trucks coming in were coming from the north to turn into their driveway. The trucks are generally they classified them as WB 48s, and with some WB 53s trucks, which means it's got a 48 or 53 foot trailer. These are pretty much standard size tractor trailer trucks. They're not the smallest, not the biggest, but they're generally standard size. And discussions with the village's engineering consultant. Broadway gets repaved every 10 to 15 years, depending upon what's been going on there. We did observations. There are a lot of alligator cracking. There is other parts that are falling off the edges and such. So there is some pavement issues there. Because of the different utility work and some of the other work that happened over the years, the road is settled a couple times. Talking to the engineer, there was one time where it settled about 10 inches. Another time, about 10 years ago, one section settled about 4 inches, which means it's dropping in the ground. There are no plans that the village has or anyone has for the road itself. And Con Ed has put in, and others have put in different utilities underneath there. So there's no record of how anything's really been backfilled underneath there, and that's what's causing the settlement between the heavy weight of the trucks and underneath pavement, giving out. So we were asked to take a look at if the road gets completely ripped up and refilled and repaved, what it would require, and we put it in. We determined based upon the programs New York State DOT and others used, it would need an 8-inch level of asphalt on top, which would be about a 2.5 foot top course, a 2.5-inch binder course, and then another 3 inches of an asphalt base above a new stone sub base, which would need to be about 12 inches. But a lot would have to come out, and we'd have to do, or whoever does the work would have to do borings probably every 100 feet and at different areas within the lanes. Because the northbound lane, because that's handling the heavy trucks, that is wearing out more than southbound lanes. But also with the different pipes underneath, and nobody knows, there was some concrete fill used at one point, some asphalt fill. Probably earlier on, there was just whatever was available was put in there, and so that's why the road's given out. So that would all have to be checked before anything. We did an estimate based upon that type of work, and it was slightly over $4 million to do the work from the Certainty driveway up to the northern village border. Just going back to in terms of their trucks, they do have some trucks coming in on the weekends. It's between 21 and 31 coming in and then leaving, so that'd be a total of 42 to 62 trucks on the weekends. So in that case, the trucks that are coming in and are actually the ones carrying the material, so they are actually the heavier trucks traveling southbound, and then the trucks leaving northbound are empty. There were a couple other issues we were asked to take a look at. There is wear and tear around the driveway. The driveway where the village/town line is essentially the double yellow line in that area by the driveway. The driveway side at the, where it hits Broadway is part of the town. The side on the cemetery side is the village. There is signs that, the trucks are having trouble making some of the turns, so they're wearing out the asphalt on the edges, causing puddling, causing mud and everything, because it's digging up the grass areas there. So that was also something that has to be considered. And then the last thing was, we were asked to look in about that whether this facility received the additional approval for an additional recycling machine. The way it was relayed to us from their traffic consultant was that was for another certain teat facility, not this one, but that would need to be clarified with them. That's a quick summary of our report.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent summary, that you really were in depth with your summary. And just to repeat, with your report, 80% of the traffic on that road is certainty traffic.
Well, 80% of the trucks.
Of the trucks, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
50%.
Yes, thank you. So there's quite a busy road, Broadway. All right,
Yes.
Thank you. I have no questions. That was an excellent review.
I have no questions either.
I think, he gave us a plethora of
Can you just talk
information
a little bit in the microphone?
No, I think he gave us a plethora of information and, it's, just got to wrap our heads around it. But thank you.
So, Madam Mayor, just so, to put this into context for the people in the audience or people at home, the village asked Mr. Dempsey to prepare this analysis because they're currently undergoing an evaluation of rezoning that portion of Broadway west of Broadway that includes the Indian Point, the former Indian Point facility, the Certainty property, and Lentz Cove. It's approximately 284 acres. And there is the current proposed zoning strategy for that area looks at a waterfront development district for the Indian Point property. And then recognizing that the Certainty property is an active existing industrial use, it was proposed to have an overlay district that would allow them to continue to operate, but under a special permit before that would be issued by your board. From the beginning of the process, what I had always heard from the community, from you sitting at the dais, is that there were a significant number of issues with the truck traffic from Certainty. They were not following specified routes. They were coming in on different roadways. There was a lot of impact to the local road system. So that was the zoning strategy was one way for the use of the special permit to try and address that particular issue. I think what the village is well served in having the work that Mr. Dempsey prepared, because now you have facts before you that you understand the operations, you understand the amount of truck traffic, the type of truck traffic, the weights involved, with an understanding of how that impacts the road life over time. And so there has been ongoing discussions with Certainty with respect to this issue. There are a couple of different alternatives that the village can evaluate as part of the process. One is to leave the proposed zoning in place to allow for a special permit. That's not something necessarily that Certainty would like. The second is to engage with Certainty in a Stephanie, what's it's a utility infrastructure agreement or something along those lines. That would put in place, allow for the village to evaluate the ongoing cost because of the operations and have some select recompensation to the village as a result of the additional wear and tear on the road system. And then if that is an alternative, then we would evaluate whether we could keep the existing zoning in place and make a slight modification so that it would just allow for the gypsum manufacturing to remain in place. So for those people at home, the village has initiated zoning. Nothing has been put in place yet. This is part of the ongoing evaluation of trying to get as much information so you can make an informed decision. You've initiated the State Environmental Quality Review Act process, that's seeker. You've circulated a notice of intent to act as lead agency to a number of interested and involved agencies, including New York State DOT, New York State Department of State, Westchester County Planning, your own planning board. The only response back that you got was one from Westchester County Planning, who did not object to your board acting as lead agency, though they did have some comments on proposed zoning. And your planning board, who has reviewed the matter, they had no objection to your board acting as lead agency, although they did request at some point to have a joint meeting with your board to discuss the zoning in more detail. So I thank you, Brian, for the very thorough and technical evaluation that you provided for the village. I think it gives you a lot to consider. And so that's kind of a summary of where the village is at this point. You have not formally scheduled a public hearing. My suggestion is that at some point, you may want to sit down with Certainty again to discuss the findings that Mr. Dempsey has prepared. And then you can set a course of action for the next steps in the process.
Thank you for the overview too, Dave.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Board have any questions? Comments?
No, I think it's well, it was well done by David and Brian. I mean, that's exactly what we needed to figure this out.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
no, and thank you for explaining to the community as well.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a fair bit of background to go into, why Mr. Dempsey
There's
is
a lot
talking
of
about truck
background,
traffic.
yeah.
Yes.
so,
But
thank you.
just to reassure the public that the process is not over. You still have to have a public hearing where you will invite the public to comment on the proposed rezoning.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else for us this evening or not?
I think that's it.
That's it. I believe you are correct. Yes, sir.
Very good.
All right.
Free to go, man.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Dave.
Good to see you. Happy New Year.
Happy
Yes,
New
same
Year.
here.
The next under new business is a discussion regarding Buchanan Engine Company number 1, statement of authority to provide public EMS. We are going to table this at this time. The board would like to get more information. So we're tabling that for this evening. The next is to accept the offer of $120,000 for the 2009 Spartan Furion EV1 rescue from McDonald County Rescue Squad in Marion, North Carolina. I'm driving up all this way. So this was, I don't know, Chief, if you want to give us a review on both of these pieces of equipment.
So you mentioned the Marion County one. I got a call while I was in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, from the representing from McDowell Rescue Squad, saying they were in need of a rescue truck, and that do I think it was worth them coming up? I said, absolutely, you should come up. They're one of the counties that was hit extremely hard by the flooding, and they need equipment. I was waiting to hear back, and the intent to the purchase came in actually yesterday and today for that. They don't want to come up and see it. They want it for $120,000. Mind you that we had signed an agreement with Signal 5 for 6% of that goes to Signal 5 for selling them. So with that apparatus, you're seeing a net of $112,800. And then you move down to the Lance 1991 pumper. That was purchased by, I believe, Glen Gardner, New Jersey. And they offered us full price. It was $25,000. 6% was $1,500. So the net there was $23,500. If my math is correct, we should be selling both of them for a net of $136,300. We felt it was appropriate to get the board approval for those sales. before we continue to move on. They want them ASAP. So,
Well, can I comment?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
It needs our approval. Am I correct?
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Before we can go any further, and I'm sure that the Buchanan Engine Company trustees will approve it as well, but you are the authority and so.
And these vehicles were advertised, these pieces of apparatus were advertised through a broker?
Through Signal 5.
Yep.
They have been on our radar. They've gotten information. They actually put it out very close to the end of November on their site, and they said it's not going to last long, and it didn't. They
Right.
were surprised that the rescue truck didn't go first. We got a call about the pumper first. So, and then shortly after that, bang, the rescue's go.
All right, just so we understand the process, when Signal, what was the name of the firm?
Signal 5.
Signal 5, they come in, they assess each piece of apparatus and they determine what the price should be set at? Is that how it works?
Yeah, well, they determined that they thought the apparatus for the rescue truck should have been put at 100,000. I said, no, put it
Okay.
at 120.
All right, good.
They said that the pumper should go up for 15. I said, no, put
Okay,
it up for 25.
all right,
So we were able to do that, and of course, here we are. So
great.
Left you some room for some negotiation from,
and apparently there is none.
yeah,
Well, these funds go right back into the apparatus fund. So,
they should, yeah.
you know,
The administrator is on. Marcus, do you have any comments? And once this is sold, the money does get put back into the capital fund for a vehicle replacement?
That is correct. That's the process we followed in the past, and we'll continue following the same process.
All right, and you have no questions or concerns about the sale?
No, it's a publicly bid. We got the responses, a public bidding process that meets all the state requirements.
Okay, good. All right.
I just have one question for the board, and before we release the truck, obviously, we'd like to name Buchanan taken off in our emblems that are on the doors. Who would do that? Is it somebody that I'm gonna have to come bring in to do that, or,
How have we done that before?
well, really, I don't know what you did with the chief's car. We brought the chief's car down to the village and dropped it off, and that was that. I don't know what we did with the engine. I don't know what you guys did with the engine. We did not do it. I
Is
just
it
need-
painted on or decal?
They're decals.
They're decal.
Does Signal 5 have any answers for that? Because I mean, this transfer of ownership, I mean, it should be on the next, whoever purchases it to do the detailing or whatever it is.
that's my.
Correct. Correct.
So you saying that you should let it go with Buchanan on it?
I don't see why not. I mean, in auctions all over the place, there's old,
I would imagine they're gonna letter these up the way they want them, right?
True,
yeah.
true. And
So-
in the past, I think when we've sold equipment even to, put stuff up to bid in the past, we either took it off ourselves or before they left our property with it, they took the emblems off and the name Buchanan.
So if we do damage to the vehicle, taking the emblem off, are we responsible for a cut and, I mean, they're paying for what they got, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, I think you're right. It's as is. So
Yeah.
we're getting it as is. I think they'll understand that I think it's kind of across the board that everybody takes their emblems off before they release it.
Yeah, I don't sell fire trucks.
I don't know if Stephanie, legally, I don't know if Stephanie would want to comment on releasing that truck with the Village of Buchanan on it.
I would advise not to release a truck with our emblems on them. We don't do it in
Okay, so there's
Somers.
your
We
answer. So
we
there
have
go.
somebody come
There you have
in. We have somebody come in and strip him. The last one we sold, though,
Somers
actually,
does?
they came in, the people that came in and bought it, stripped it. We said, you strip it, but before it left our property, it was stripped. So
Okay.
either way, I don't know what the negotiation is with these folks. You know,
So I think 2 points of reference then. I think we need to find out whether they're gonna strip it or whether we're gonna strip it, number one,
I'll start
whatever
with-
the agreement is. And then Cindy, do you have who Summers uses? And then we just could contact that point of reference.
sure, I can get it.
Who does our cop cars?
There you go.
Yeah, who does our cop cars? I don't
We have
know.
Who stripes our
We
cop
have
cars?
we have a local guy that does all that
So
stuff.
then that's the
All right,
answer.
McCaffrey up in Peekskill does it all.
there you go.
Who does ours?
I mean, I will go back to
Both
Signal
sides,
5.
right?
Just to have a direction from the board of how you want me to maneuver that, and I'll ask them, maybe they'll come down and do it for us.
Well, I mean, it's gotta be a
Good.
negotiation. Something's gotta have,
It's probably in a contract or.
I mean, in a contract, the sale of contract, that we're not responsible in some faction if we strip the letters off for any damage that's done, I mean, we have
Yeah.
to hire a contractor to assume there was liability on that.
Yeah, and they're decals. They're
Yeah, I
they
mean,
are
it's not easy.
decals.
I get you. It's not a big deal. I just,
It's not a big deal. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
I would be very uncomfortable sending it with the Village of Buchanan's name on it.
I agree.
Yeah, I am concerned with that because, you know, it's our village, it's our name, and then this thing is going down on 95, driving like a lunatic, going 95, and look at that Village of Buchanan vehicle. It's not our vehicle. Yeah. So I just think it's better that our name comes off before it leaves the village.
Right, I'll start with Signal 5. I'll see what we can do there. I understand the direction of the board, and I will maneuver that to take care of it.
Great. Thank you,
good.
Bob.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Bob.
Chief.
thanks,
you.
man.
Okay, so I'm going to make the motion to accept the offer of $120,000 for the 2009 Spartan Furion EV1 rescue from McDonald County Rescue Squad in Marion, North Carolina, and also a 6% fee for the sale from Signal 5 Company. Can I have a second? Can I have a second? Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So the next is a motion to accept the offer of $25,000 for the 1991 Pierce Lance 1250 /750 pumper from Glen Gardner Volunteer Fire Company, number 1 in Glen Gardner, New Jersey, less the fee from Signal 5 of 6%. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Sold. The next is a motion to retain the services of John Petrosini regarding the pool. This gentleman has been in front of the board several times. He has also done a presentation. He's answered questions for the board. And he's offering his engineering services towards obtaining approval from Westchester County Health Department for the construction of a new wading pool in the approximate location of the existing wading pool adjacent to the existing swimming pool. The pool will be steel reinforced gunite pool, approximately 540 square feet. The pool will include a beach entry and have depths ranging from 0 depth to approximately 18-inch depth. The final dimensions and depths will be finalized during the design process. So his anticipated scope of work is conceptual development phase, design development phase, bidding phase, construction phase, and it's all outlined here for the board. And like I said, there's been several discussions on this. The total fee is $15,000. So are there any comments or questions from the board?
No, I like what he presented with us last time. I don't know if anybody from the community was here or heard it, saw the pictures. Did we present those anyway to the public? We did, didn't we?
Yeah, we had slides.
We had, oh yeah, we had
Yeah.
the slides. So yeah, so I mean, I liked it. I thought it was a good presentation. And personally, if he's gonna see the project all the way through to finish and deal with the Board of Health, like he says in his contract, I think it's a fair price.
I agree.
I agree as well.
So I'd like to make a motion to retain the services of John Petrosini regarding the pool at a cost of $15,000 and all of the scope of the work has been mentioned and is also included in this packet. Can I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Oh, Bob, aye. Okay, sorry. Okay, we have this evening our recreation supervisor, Jacqueline, I'm sorry. We're going to be considering an increase in camp fees. And thank you so much for giving us this information. I see that you have information from Croton, what they charge.
Yes, first of all, Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year.
Nice to see everybody. Okay. The reason that I put this together, just to be on point here, I'm perfectly okay with the rates that we have right now. Last year, when I took over the camp, I did raise it $20. So the rates that you see on the left in your booklet are the rates that we had when I took over and last summer. During several meetings with the Recreation Committee, it was brought up that maybe if we raised the Buchanan fees $100, which I think in the 24 years that I've been living in this community, as a mom who had a young child, I always appreciated the fact that the rates here in Buchanan were low and financially, good for myself and for, I'm sure, for many other families. And the fact that right now there is a bit of a hardship within the community, within the state. I brought the rate up to $20 extra. It's up to you guys, the board, to decide if you want to raise that, if you want to stay with the regular rates that we had last year. I'm perfectly okay with that as well. But I wanted to bring it out just so that I could show the Recreation Committee that I did bring an increase in the rate. But if you look at your packages, we still are the lowest within the area. Croton Camp, their 2-week rates for one session is $380, where even if we raised the rate for the Village of Buchanan for 3 weeks, it's $355. If you look at these were last summer's rates. If you look at the town of Cortland, for section 1, which is again 2 weeks, is $400. Whereas even if we raised it again, for us, it's $355, which is still the lowest within the surrounding municipalities. So this is why I put it together. Like I said, I am perfectly okay with leaving it at the rate that we have now, that we had last summer. But if we did increase it, $20 is what I'd like to increase it. No more than that.
$23, $20 a week, Jack,
No,
A session.
$20 for the session.
for the 3-week session?
Yes, so
Before
last
college.
year was $335 for a 3-week resident.
Mhm.
It would go up to $355.
Oh, I see.
$20.
And if you do,
$20 per 3-week session.
yeah,
Okay.
per 3.
So
And if
$20
you-
for the.
Yes, and if you do the 6 weeks, for one child, they get a $50, it's $50 less for 6 weeks.
Mhm. All right, I got it.
And a 10% discount, for a sibling.
How many children did you have? How many campers?
Last summer, we had 223 campers. Buchanan residents, we had 68. Non-residents was 155.
Wow, so most of the campers were,
Most
Not
of the
from out there.
campers came
Yeah.
from out of resident. I know that this summer was a really big success for us. The Croton Harmon, they sent a lot of their kids to our camp because they were having a lot of repairs done in their camp. But they were very, very happy with our camp, and I'm hoping that they will come back
So-
because they were happy with our camp and with our services.
Okay, but were those repairs completed? that
Yes.
You know of?
I believe they might have been, but like I said, a lot of the Croton parents really, really had fun with our camp, and they were telling us that they were going to come back.
So we're going to hope that those.
So I'm hoping word of mouth, exactly. I'm hoping word of mouth will lead to other families. And then I had a lot of town of Cortland as well. Like I said, this is always been the lowest. And, I know that even our, in the past, it's been mentioned, about getting rid of the 6th, 7th, and 8th program. But I found that I did have a large amount of kids from 6th, 7th, and 8th. And again, like I said, financially, parents need to work. Parents want to send their kids to camp. Parents need to have a place for their children. And a lot of parents can't afford the town of Cortland camps. So they send them to us. And we work with them and they have fun with us and they have their own little group and they enjoy it. Getting rid of 6th, 7th, and 8th grade would be a hardship, I think, for a lot of families. And the fact that right now the town of Cortland, in the past, they used to have where the kids were bused in. It's no longer done. They don't use buses anymore. So parents have to drive their children to the town of Cortland camp or have other people drive their children to the town of Cortland camp. So I think it's beneficial to keep that program within the village of Buchanan as well.
And what would be the explanation for excluding them?
Well, a lot of parents or a lot of, in the past have said, well, they're too old for our camp because they don't go on trips. Whereas the town of Cortland.
Both of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's usually, I know that in the past, my daughter, when my oldest, who's now, 38 years old, she went to the village of Buchanan when we first moved here. And, she eventually went to the town of Cortland because that was the end thing to do. You had the bus, you had the trips. We don't have trips, unfortunately. So
But you do have a lot of activities.
we do,
on
we
site.
do. And like I said, last year, it was really a lot of fun. We had a great staff. And I think that the kids had fun.
Mhm.
And I think they enjoyed it. So I don't want to get rid of that program.
Who's telling you to get rid of it?
Yeah.
Well, there's been other people that worked in the past with us that wanted to get rid of it. And it's been mentioned by other parents, well, why do they have the older kids? And
Well, I think there's a benefit to keeping
I
that
think it
age-
is.
I think there's a benefit to keeping that age group in the sense that
Mhm.
they will probably eventually become counselors.
And they do,
Yes.
and they
So
do.
yeah.
And a lot of them that were, I actually had one of them two of them last summer that did come back as CITs in training.
See.
So now they'll come back this year and there'll be actual CITs where they'll
Right.
actually get paid. So
And you did a great job. last
thank
year.
you. I
And,
appreciate that.
it didn't go unrecognized. So we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
George.
if you, I mean, you run our program, so if you think that it's beneficial for us to have the 6th, 7th, and 8th, then we're gonna go by what you say.
I agree. Thank
You know.
you.
I agree.
Thank you. But again, like I said, the reason I brought the rates up is because, like I said, during these meetings with the recreation committee, I wanted to show that, okay, I looked and I compared and I brought it to the board. Now, it's up to the board to decide if you want me to increase it or if you would like it to stay the same and then maybe talk about an increase next year.
I
What's the board's thoughts?
have no problem with it. I think it's a minimal increase, and I think it's well worth it. I mean, the amount you do and the amount we offer, and remember, in 2026, we may have a new pool.
Yes.
Right. I'm okay with the $20
Yeah.
increase. I mean, to me, it's minimal, like Anthony said. Our expenses are increasing. We don't do this to make money, right? I mean.
No,
it's-
no.
So, I mean, it's probably, it's justified. And it's a small hit, but I still think what we're providing for a service is still a great product and kudos to you. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Did you want to stand?
No, I'm just thinking, so I don't have a problem with the $20. I think that the service is great. I was at the pool quite a bit this summer, as well as I visited the camp. I'm only thinking, and I'm not certain how this is done, and I don't intend to open up a can of worms, but I'm also considering the salaries of the workers. So in increasing the fee, if part of that or all of that is used to pay for the salaries, I don't see that unjustified, that even if you raised it a little more, that would be unjustified.
Well, that's something that I've already discussed with Cindy and Marcus.
Mhm.
And we are hoping that maybe there will be an increase in the salaries
I
for the
need to get-
returning counselors that
Counselor.
come back.
But I know the salary
Yes.
was
I know last
at a
year we
certain
did,
point last year.
yeah,
It was low.
Yeah,
So
Well,
if
we
you,
increased last year.
yeah, we did, we did.
yeah. It was an increase.
there
The
was-
pool, I know the pool
for the
was,
lifeguards.
the lifeguards were increased.
Mhm. I think that's something to discuss.
Mhm.
The lifeguards were definitely increased. There were some salaries increased for counselors that came back. But that is something that we will discuss.
Yeah, but that's why, as far as I know, the Recreation Committee recommended raising the fee because they were considering the salaries of the individuals that were working in the camp.
Well, senior counselors were at the time making minimum wage.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly, yeah.
yeah. But the camp fees, I can't control the camp fees because for years and years, you had like a CIT that would get paid, $10 an hour.
Hmm.
I come from the city. I mean, I lived in the city and I worked for camps and, you know, I got paid minimum wage on what I worked, you know, as a counselor, whether it was a new counselor or, you know, was part of the summer program. I don't know villages, it's not only us, it's Croton, it's the town of Cortland. It's something that I believe it's allowed to, you know, salaries are allowed to be at a certain rate when you're in a camp. I'm not sure why, but
All right, but that's a whole discussion.
Exactly,
that the board can
exactly.
have, and we'll look at that and
exactly.
before camp starts and
Mhm.
maybe at our workshop
Mhm.
this
Yes.
month, we'll have a discussion on that. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.
It's just out there that the Village of Buchanan is a fun place, you know, so we're just letting everybody else know. So I think you'll get a lot of repeat campers because
I think we will.
we've heard nothing but good things about the camp this year.
I mean, I'm getting emails already. When does it start?
Oh, gosh.
So,
All
yeah.
right. But thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank
Have
you,
a
Jack.
great evening.
All right.
Thanks, Jacqueline.
Okay, I would, I'm sorry, Jacqueline. Oops, I said Jackie again. I just know her as Jackie, sorry. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to increase the camp fees. We have all the rates here and as she's mentioned, she's requesting a rate increase of $20 across the board for the Village of Buchanan 2025 camp fees, along with a 10% sibling discount. And I'd like to make a motion to approve that. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Aye.
thank you. I'm sorry, Bob, I didn't ask if you just jump in.
He said aye.
No,
Oh, well,
I mean
that's all right.
before that, if you had any comment, I'm sorry.
No problem.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing overriding the New York State property tax cap.
Did you miss one?
Did I miss one?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Polling
Polling
places.
places.
Thank you, Cindy. Cindy keeps me in line. Thank you. So the next is a resolution stating polling places and hours for the next village election. So this is something we do every year. So whereas the next general village election shall be held on Tuesday, March 18th, 2025, and whereas according to New York State Election Law 15-104 sub 3, the Board of Trustees of Village of Buchanan shall adopt a resolution which states the polling place in each election district and the hours during which the polls shall be open. Now be it therefore resolved that the polling places for the next general village election for District 1 and 2 are located in the community room on the second floor of the municipal building, 236 Tate Avenue, Buchanan, New York. Be it further resolved that the hours which the polls shall be open will be between the hours of 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. Okay, and can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next is a motion to open the I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing overriding New York State property tax cap. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so every year, this is, the village does do this in case we go over our tax cap. If this is not in place before, then we have a problem. So, does the board have any comments or questions?
No, it's an annual thing.
It's
Yep,
Annual, yeah,
I'm
it's a
good.
standard thing that we
Yeah.
do. Any comments from the floor? We always try to keep it under the tax cap, but sometimes things happen. So we just want to be prepared just in case. No comments? Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so the next, I'm going to read the resolution to adopt local law number 1, our first law of the year. Whereas the state legislature and the governor enacted legislation that establishes a property tax levy cap on the amount that a local government's property tax levy can increase each year. And whereas under this law, the total amount to be raised through property taxes charged on the municipality's taxable assessed value of property will be capped at a 2% or the rate of inflation, whichever is less, with some exceptions. And whereas the state legislation provides for local governments to override the cap to protect the village from unforeseen financial circumstances, and whereas state legislation requires that in the event that an override is necessary, the law enabling it must already have been adopted by the Board of Trustees. And whereas local law introductory number 1 of 2025 has been drafted to override the property tax levy cap law enacted by state legislature if necessary. And whereas a public hearing was held and closed on January 7th, 2025. Now therefore be resolved that the Village Board of Trustees hereby adopts local law number 1-2025 to override the property tax levy cap law enacted by state legislature. And be it further resolved that the village clerk be and hereby is directed to enter said local law in the minutes of this meeting and in the local law book of the Village of Buchanan, and to give due notice of the adoption of said local law to the Secretary of the State of New York. So, can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The next is, I'd like to make a motion to call for a public hearing on February 4th, 2025 regarding parking restrictions on certain intersections. We have been talking about this for a couple of meetings. This evening, Nick Zachary mentioned a few other places in the village. And if anyone, we are going to have the public hearing on February 4th. If there's anyone out there that feels that there are other intersections that are of some concern, please either come to the public hearing or please contact the board in advance so we can have those included. So, so the motion to call for a public hearing on February 4th, can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. The next is a motion to approve the carryover one seasonal worker until January 31st. I mean, we did have a discussion at this, on this at a workshop meeting.
Yep.
So, so the motion to approve the carryover one seasonal worker until January 31st, 2025. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. The next is a motion for signing and resubmitting the village administrator waiver to the state. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The next is finally. So I don't know, I'm sure some people remember 266 White Street. That was the house that was in very bad disrepair and it was leaning. The village at one point had to move to have the house taken down. It was a very dangerous situation. There were people getting into the house even though it was boarded up. So it was a huge liability to the village. And so that's what happened. And then the town did a tax lien on it and sold the property for $78,000. And so it says pursuant to its REM foreclosure petition, the town had liens from 2004 to 2017 totaling $66,000. The village had a lien for $17,365 in total liens from 2005 to 2020. So there were 15 years of liens that had accumulated. So the liens total was $83,000 for both the town and the village. And so this gets divided by a ratio. The town's liens represent approximately 79%. The villages represented 21% of the liens. So in the end, the town is entitled to $61,620, and the village is entitled to $16,380.
I just had a question on that, Mayor.
Sure.
Do you remember what the cost was to demo that?
Demo
the property?
I want to say 60, 70,000 off the top of my head. Marcus, do you remember what that was to demo that?
No, that was before my time, so it was before I was hired.
There were issues with it because I believe there was asbestos, and so it cost us more than if it was a regular structure.
And so that cost was,
We had to eat that cost.
wow.
Yeah, no, we weren't happy about that. But the liability of someone people were getting in there were people sleeping on the porch.
Yeah, I remember.
It was ugly. It was ugly. And God forbid that building collapsed. That money that we paid to take that down was just nothing compared to the liability.
Just
So,
asked him for,
Yeah,
just
sure.
wanted to
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
just for my information.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Yeah, it was 60, 70,000, something like that. Yeah, that was tough. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the 266 White Street sale proceeds. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Right.
Okay. So the next is a discussion on dog licenses. So I need some direction from the board. And so we've talked about the dog licenses before. I was contacted by the state yesterday. And they're looking for us to either have an agreement with the town of Portland or to hire a dog. What do they call them?
Control officer?
A dog control officer. Or then what we would need to do, this is very involved. And then we would have to worry about a shelter because these are all the requirements of the law. So we would need
For
have
one-
sheltering.
Even for a 1 square mile radius
Yes.
village, this is what they do. It's
So-
insane.
Well, the village is permitted to pass a resolution having the town of Cortland use their dog catcher. Dog
Okay.
officer, whatever.
Well, we talked about the IMA
Yes.
with them multiple times,
Right, this has been going on for
you know,
2 years, right?
now,
So why are we licensing?
But,
Yeah.
so here's where I think is a good thing for the village. So I did speak to Supervisor Becker.
Okay.
There was an agreement done many, many, many years ago. And it was like for a nominal fee of $4,000.
Mhm.
So, but in talking to Cindy and Sharon in the office, it's because, the village is because we supply dog licenses, we're required to do this. So Stephanie, this is something I need you to review because it says each town, city and village in which licenses are issued shall appoint any other village and county or whatever to be their dog control officer. But if we don't do licenses,
We're exempt.
I'm not sure. I'm seeing it as two separate issues.
okay.
We have the right as by resolution to say we're not doing licenses. That's one thing,
Mhm.
right? We also have the right to contract with the town of Cortland, but I have not found, but I didn't look for whether we can do that for free. And I don't believe you can, but
Okay.
I can research it for you.
Yeah,
look it up.
so that we can, at the next workshop, we can discuss this
Sure.
and see which way we're gonna go. But, you
Well,
know,
what's the alternative? That we would hire somebody to?
well, we could contract with the town, or we could hire an individual. We could contract with a pound or a shelter. And the police have been very good here, because if there's a loose dog, as long as it's not a crazy dog, they will get the dog, they will tie it up outside, goes on Facebook, and, you know,
Really?
they find the dog pretty quickly, who the owner is. Yeah. So, but this is something, you know, so we can settle this.
So the state is mandating that we
Yes.
take some kind of action.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Would you
So I
research
guess
that
we
for
put it
us?
on the next workshop.
Yep.
agenda.
Yeah, we got
Absolutely.
our workshop
license.
thing is starting to build up. But yeah, it's as I read it, but I'm not an
Why are we
attorney.
issuing the licenses? Either way.
Each town and city and each village in
Why don't we
which
get rid of it?
licenses are issued.
Mm.
So if we don't
So
issue
if we
licenses,
licenses, it sounds like we might be exempt.
yeah, or then we would contract with the town. So
Okay.
something to work on.
Yeah.
So on the next agenda, Cindy, so we can resolve that finally. Okay.
But in either event, are you going to ask them to, you're not going to want to issue licenses here, correct?
Correct.
There you go.
What the
Right,
town
okay,
does,
she
so
never
we are
used
exempt, correct?
That's what we're hoping.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping.
We need to research to see if we would be exempt.
Yeah.
Sounds very silly.
It's such an antiquated.
Yeah, I know. I know. I know.
Wow.
Okay, so that's
Just got
that.
another dog too.
Oh, geez.
Well, my electric fence is on the place, so if you see one of my.
I gotta have to get three of them.
You know,
Okay, so information from officers and departments, justice reports for November 2024. One of the amounts was 2,925. Another amount was 4,011. These are the fees that the court has collected, and the other is 4,473. Police reports, November 2024. Bob, can you do that this evening? Or,
Yes, I can.
okay, perfect. Thank you.
This is for November 24. The police had 141 total calls. 35 were movement summonses. They had 12 call for services, 7 citizens assists. Let's see, 13 medical aids, and 28 other complaints. 4 suspicious people and 4 suspicious incidents. So they're busy, and that's just part of what they do. Thank you.
Mhm, thank you. And I see 3 speed in zone, 9 speed in zone.
Right.
That's good. Highway report, Anthony.
Highway report for November, 75 tons of garbage, bulk dumpsters, 13 ton. Let me ask everybody, does everybody actually care about
Anthony.
how much garbage was picked up? I mean, I read these all the time because everybody else did before me. Does anybody actually care?
No.
Because it's all public knowledge.
No,
Marcus, you don't care, do you? Okay,
No,
good, because I'm not really interested. If there's anything that anybody needs from the highway department, how about we do it this way? I am the liaison, and feel free to email me and I can answer any questions. I don't feel it's necessary to read out how many TV monitors were picked up. Okay,
Somebody might be interested.
well, reach out to me. I mean, I feel like I sound stupid doing this. So, this is ridiculous. I will throw in though, there was a total garbage of 100 tons. Does anybody care? Okay, great. So
Well, somebody might ask.
the highway,
It's garbage do we dispose of? Because we get charged for that. so-
I know, but I will have the answers if you
All right, good.
email me. Let's
All
just
right.
take it that way.
Okay, good.
So, the guys were, in November, they did a lot of decorating. Obviously, they decorated the poles and the circle and the tree. Marcus, I have a question for you.
yes,
The
sir.
pole, was the pole actually on, did they remove those poles that were requested Verizon? I saw them working there and I never actually noted that they removed them.
I saw them working myself, but I don't know if they removed them. I could double check tomorrow. We
Yeah, I did see them relocating some of the wires. Verizon did. But I don't know if the other companies were on location to do that. Those poles are really a problem. Especially the one, what is that, Cortland, right?
Catherine.
I mean, Catherine.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, that one is really a problem.
Yeah.
Uh,
I escalated that with the Public Service Commission.
They were there relocating wires, but they never finished.
They didn't finish, yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's, well, you know what? They're not gonna rush these companies to do it unless somebody puts a fire under them. Because it's gonna cost them money to move all those
Yeah.
wires.
Right.
So let me finish up with the highway report. There was a lot done, a lot of cleaning, leaves were picked up. You know, like I said, if anybody has any questions, please reach out to me. I would love to answer your question. Thank you.
Okay, Anthony, so people are interested, okay, in the wastewater plant and how much treated wastewater there is.
I'm sure they are. It's a lot of,
Lot of water. So treated wastewater, 6,701,000 gallons.
Wow.
And sludge removals, 136,000. So for people that want to know, for inquiring minds, as they say.
you're talking, right now.
So,
Can't say it.
building department.
That's Bob.
That's Bob again.
Yes, that would be me, Anthony. Thank you. Building department's a busy office. They have 42 building permits that have been issued or reviewed. They had 37 inspections that were required for newly issued permits. They've issued 6 certificate of occupancies. They had 7 compliance inspections for resale or refinance. And the AMS project is going along well, and they have Labella there inspecting it as they need to do. And there was no illegal apartments that have been reported, and there's been 1 property maintenance issue reported. That's just some of the many things they do in that office.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, the next is Buchanan Engine. There were no structure fires, 6 EMS assist. This is for November. Automatic alarms, 3, public assist, 2, and mutual aid, 8 given. So for a total of 19 calls, 19 alarms. Prosecutor's report,
No.
nothing. Attorney's report. Stephanie, do you have anything for us?
I don't. I mean, update on John Doe.
Okay.
We're still waiting. They did make their motion. They submitted their brief to the Court of Appeals. I think I sent you the latest invoices today, and we're waiting on a decision out of the court, which will hopefully be finally and dismissing the action after 3 tries, you know? I don't think the Supreme Court of the United States will take it, so this should be our last step.
Mm.
And that's the only update I have, really.
All right, thank you. Will, do you, you're on the school committee and recreation. Do you
I
have
am.
any updates for that?
I'm still in contact with the
Okay.
superintendent because I'm trying to provide services for the newcomer students who are learning English as a second language. I've invited them to come to sessions on Mondays to the library, and the superintendent's getting back to me on that. In terms of the rec committee, I haven't met with them because I thought the last time that they presented, you had decided to take them back.
No,
Oh.
I don't think there's been any meetings anyhow. I think, and I'm sorry that they weren't here for the discussions about the pool.
I haven't contacted them since the
I'm
last
sorry.
time because I thought you took them back.
No,
Oh, well, if they're mine, trust me,
yeah,
we'll have updates next time.
okay, good.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll see when the next, ask when the next meeting is.
Well, if I'm going to
Yeah,
be the liaison, I'd rather be the contact person and I'd
Okay.
rather be the one to deal with them and report back.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Administrator report, Marcus, do you have anything
Yeah.
for us this evening?
Yeah, a couple of things. First of all, I'm sorry I couldn't make it tonight. I just got back from vacation, got sick, and I probably won't be in tomorrow either. I still got fever and chills. So hopefully I'll recover soon and get back to work. But I am working from home, phone calls, emails, and so on and so forth. Mayor, we got the update for Homeland Towers. I don't know if you want to
Yes.
cover that. If you want
Yeah,
to
I
cover
did
that.
have that. Yeah,
All
they,
right.
they contacted me today. I wasn't sure if they contacted you
Yes.
too. Okay,
Yes.
yeah,
Cell phones?
yeah,
So I'll
so
let-
we got some good news today on that.
Okay.
It's,
All right,
thank
so I'll
God.
let you, I'll let you update the board on that one. We got some, I would say bad news, but the CREST grant, which was for the $100,000 for Holcomb's office that we talked about doing the pavilion, I applied for that grant. They came back to me with an email today saying that it doesn't qualify. It'll qualify only if we're building a brand new pavilion, not to repaint it. But the
Alright.
money could be reallocated to another project. So I did talk to George. Unless the board has any other ideas, George talked about stormwater catch basin have to be repaired, or for some kind of sewer work. So unless the board has any items, we could discuss that at the next workshop, Teresa, and
Yep.
see what
Yes, please.
else we want to apply for. At least the window's still open, that we can still use the money, not lose it, which is good.
Yeah, I think
Um,
when we originally put that in, we put that in and then we thought that there might be other options too. So, you know, that's good. But we've used that before for the painting of the pavilion.
I know, and I remember getting an email a couple of years ago. In fact, what I'm going to do, I got an email about a year and a half ago saying it did qualify, that I remember, and I'm going to email them back and say, you did say a year and a half ago that it did qualify, now you're saying it's not qualified. So let me follow up and I'll get you an update before the next workshop. See what they
And
say
I'll
about that.
speak to Senator Harkam too on that.
All right.
Oh, perfect. That'll be good. And then the last item is the company we've been talking about, the village property on Blakely Avenue. They said they're still interested, but they've done some engineering and some reviews, and they don't feel they could they only put about 8 units on that site. So they want to talk to the board, if you wish, an executive session to negotiate a price. The original price that we got, the $400,000, they say it wouldn't work for them. So we can, if the board wishes, you can talk to them at the next workshop, or you just want me to put it back out on the market and let that other company that you met with a couple months ago and move at a different direction. I just heard that back from them today. So you tell me how you want to proceed on that one. And that's it for me for today. Thank you.
All right, Cindy, if
Feel
you,
better.
if you could
Yeah,
put
Thank
that
you.
down
Marcus.
on the workshop,
Thank you, sir.
that will, exec session, we'll discuss that. It's negotiation, yeah. Okay, so, as Marcus said, Vincent contacted me today, the cell tower person that has made a few presentations here, with some good news. They are moving along. They're working out the issues with our consultant, and they're pretty close to coming to some type of an agreement. The best thing is that Verizon has agreed to come on the tower. So, you know, a big company like that, I'm sure the other smaller companies will jump in. So he'd like to come to the February meeting to speak about it, and I told him that we would put him on the agenda for the February meeting. So,
Move that along.
yeah.
Well, we
So-
still have the lease issues.
Yeah, well, they're working through some of the lease issues and everything, and I know you've been involved too, right?
And there hasn't been a response to the attorney that's been working on our side. He's been trying to get in touch with them.
Oh, really?
So today was the first time when you saw the red lettering.
Yes, yeah.
I think that's you know.
It looked like those are the items that still had to be addressed.
I think those are the ones, I mean, I didn't look at it that well because I was doing a million other things, but those might be the ones that they agreed to. So I made a call to Dick Comey,
Okay.
but obviously it was later in the day, so I'll probably talk to him tomorrow.
All right, good.
Just to see where we're at.
Steph-
Because he had been trying to get a hold of him for quite some time.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Steph, I just want to say, Stephanie, you're 100% correct. They addressed some of the administrative issues, but the financing issues they have not addressed yet. So Dick Comey did say that hopefully they get that resolved before the February meeting. If
Right.
not, then Dick Comey said he'll give a memo to the board and let the board know what are still the items that he has concerns about.
All right, good. Well,
Thank
at
you.
least there's some
We're
type
trying,
of
yeah,
movement.
he's
It was,
trying.
it was good to hear, you know, Verizon was on board.
Thank
now.
you, Marcus.
So, okay, and the next thing is, we discussed last month, and I'd like to put this on the workshop, the WQIP grant, which we were not successful with. I'd like to have our engineer, George Palmer, come in to see, we are short, about $1 million on that. So there has to be a discussion on the scope of work, but I will say this. The original project, we happened to do good here. The original project was $6 million. That did not include the 2 tanks. So we are being able to do an $11 million project So the original thing was that we were going to wait on the tanks when it was necessary, but everything is. So we're doing a lot more than we originally intended to. So, but right now the scope is off about $1 million. So we will have that discussion at the workshop, to see how we can move forward.
Including the 2 tanks?
Yeah.
So maybe we could do the 2 tanks later? Is that what we're kind of looking?
Well, we kind of have the money for the tanks now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the original was just the upgrades,
Yeah.
right? It
Yeah.
wasn't including the 2 tanks.
Okay.
So we'll have that discussion. So anyone that's interested in the sewer treatment plant, unlike the highway department. No, kidding.
It's a lot more interesting.
It is very interesting.
Everybody likes to talk shit.
Teresa, can I
Oh,
ask,
my God. He didn't
Teresa?
say that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Marcus.
So people want to jump
no,
ship. That's what he said.
We were going back and forth, I'm sorry, we were going back and forth with the DEC about having a meeting to meet with the
Yes,
board.
yeah.
And they said they couldn't make it tonight, so I asked them about coming to the workshop, but it looks like they want to meet during the day.
Yeah,
So I'm wondering if you guys still want to meet with them? I'm trying to make a meet at 7 o'clock at night, so that way the whole board can be there and George can be there. But, or else, either way, I call for a special meeting, only 2 board members can be there. So I'm glad you brought it up, but I'm trying to get back and organize a meeting with the DEC to let you know why we were not awarded any money.
You know, I think, I don't care if the whole board wants to be there, but it's, you know, we did this before and it's not going to change the situation, but we do need to know for future, you know, if we go again for any grants for the sewer treatment plant, we need to know why that did not work out. So even if the DEC could send a note to the board detailing why the grant was not approved.
I agree.
Okay, I'll ask them to give-
Finding out why.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll ask
I
him.
agree with you. I don't think we need a meeting. I mean, we're not gonna gain anything out of it.
No.
You know, I just need an explanation why we didn't receive it.
Okay, I'll ask them to give us a brief memo of why it wasn't approved. I'll do that tomorrow. Thank you.
That'd be great.
And if
Thank you.
not, then I guess we could do a Zoom and whoever can make it, can make it.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. It's just, you know, the last
Yeah.
time we had the discussion and it was like, nothing would change it, what the result was. So it's just as long as, you know, especially for the engineer and for the board to understand, like, okay, this is where we fell down here and,
You need to know.
yep, absolutely. Okay, Awilda, what do you have for us this evening?
I already shared earlier.
Oh, okay, all right, thank you.
Mhm.
Anthony, what do you have for us?
I don't have much. Just, I'm not gonna talk about the garbage anymore. Went over that already. What the hell? Now, so, I just want to wish everybody a happy new year. I'm looking forward to this year, helping as much as I possibly can in this village and, you know, getting us rolling in the right direction. Not to say that we're not, but we have some big things coming up and, you know, with all of us working together as a team, I believe we can get a lot accomplished and I'm looking forward to that. And happy new year to everybody in the village. Thank you.
Thank you. Dan, what do you have for us?
Just want to wish everybody Happy New Year. Another note is congrats to our newly
Yeah.
elected officers for
Congrats.
Buchanan Energy Company. We appreciate everything you guys do. I do have a couple items.
Okay.
So in relation to the Entergy money getting released, we're kind of being held until we understand what we need to go forward, right?
Mhm, mhm.
What about the status of 3176 Albany Post Road? There was supposed to be a demo permit issued for that. Was that ever done?
Oh, there you go.
The status for 3176 Albany Post Road. I know a few meetings back, we discussed it. There's supposed
Was
to
that
be a demo.
Rolando?
Yeah, there's supposed to be a demo
Oh.
permit.
That's the property across from
Selleck's.
Reggie Selleck's auto body shop. Marcus, do you have any update on that?
The Relindo, I know before I went away, they were putting in information to the building department. So I will double check for you tomorrow, Dan. I'll send you an email. I'll
Yeah,
send the
'cause
whole board an
I
email.
get questions on it, you know, people see me
Yep.
and they're like, what, you know, what's going on with it? So.
Yeah.
Lakeview Avenue project we touched on. Marcus, any news on the employee handbook, HR handbook that we agreed to?
No, that's the last meeting, since the last meeting was that they were actually creating the draft to be
Okay,
presented to
okay.
the board. I think we had a couple meetings with them already. I think they're working on draft to be submitted to the board for review.
Okay. St. Patrick's Day Parade Committee? we will meet next Thursday, the 16th, 7 PM at the Buchanan Firehouse. And I'm encouraging anybody who wants to get involved, please, the more the better. It takes a lot to put it together. Steve has the date. I believe it's the Sunday before St. Patrick's Day, but I would have to get back to you. Okay. But please, anybody who wants to get involved, we could use your help. And that's all I had. And Happy New Year.
Thank you. Any comments from the floor?
Wait a minute.
Oh, Bob,
Oh, Bob.
you know,
Go ahead,
so
Bob,
hard
again.
when somebody's on Zoom, it just, it slips
I
my
know.
mind. I apologize.
I don't like it this
Thanks,
way,
Bob.
Okay, I only have,
Jump in.
I don't really have too much. I just have one question. I know tonight that we did approve to send the waiver off to Albany for the administrator. Do we have a deadline when that has to be done by? We should get that out ASAP.
I agree.
I think he's asking when. When is it going to be sent? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I mean, when are we going to send it out? I guess is my question.
I can send it tomorrow if somebody signs it.
Are you going to sign it, Mayor?
No, I think, Dan, didn't we do a resolution?
So
Yeah,
if it's based off the last resolution, yes, I
Yeah.
agreed to sign it, so I
Yeah.
have no problem signing the
Next
waiver.
meeting. I think.
Okay, I was just a little confused on when that had to be done by and who was going to sign it. Thank you. And the only other thing I do have is just to wish everyone a happy new year. Be safe out there.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you. No comments from the floor? Okay. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy and
Happy New Year.
healthy, and have a great year. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to close the meeting. Can I
Second.
have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.